Good morning and welcome to the Rotary Club of Jacksonville's Rotary News Network. My name is Margie Seaman, your host, and my guest today is Dr. Marie Foster Nagy, Vice President of Institutional Effectiveness and Advancement at Florida State College at Jacksonville. Good morning, Marie.
Good morning.
How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing fine.
Thank you for fitting me into a busy schedule. I guess the students are going through midterms now, or?
Well, we are actually getting towards the end of a term. So by the end of next week, we will see students leaving campus for their holiday.
So that means pre-finals or post-finals?
Well, they will be leaving post-finals, we hope, not pre-finals. But they were, it's that time of the year when we're switching from one semester to the next. And so they're getting registered and enrolled for spring semester 2018.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Marie, you are quite a trailblazer in a number of ways, and I know that you came to Jacksonville. I'm not sure exactly when. You can tell us that story, but you came as a college president from another university. Can you tell us about that?
Okay, so I came to Jacksonville in 2014. After 10 years as president of West Virginia University at Parkersburg, and I left there president emeritus, and one of the thrills was that I was also West Virginia Citizen of the year before I left to come to Jacksonville. And I moved here in 2014 to work at Florida State College at Jacksonville as their campus president at the downtown campus. And I'm in my fourth year with FSCJ, and in the last year, I took on the position of Vice President for Institutional Effectiveness and Advancement. And happy about moving into this role, was very happy in the role as campus president, but we no longer have campus presidents, so I will be Vice President for Institutional Effectiveness and Advancement any day.
And what does that entail?
Oh, you would ask. Okay.
I would.
So let's see if we can talk about all the different components. So I have marketing and communication, the foundation, I have grants, also recruitment, institutional effectiveness, and accreditation. And I know I'm forgetting something, but that's the gist of it. It's a real compilation of very important pieces, but some of them a little diverse.
So you spend a good amount of your day with students.
No, I don't get to speak with them. I spent most of my day with students when I was at the campuses. But now I'm in the district office, so you can say I spend most of my day talking and working through what we will be doing to make sure that students have the support that they need, and that they understand what's happening at the institution, because we bring them here with recruitment and marketing, and then we communicate with them in order to make sure that they get on the proper path to college and get registered and everything. So, and then, of course, as far as grants are concerned, we touched on their lives, because in many cases the grants that we're receiving will support their educational ventures, whether it's as a credit student or a non-credit student.
And when you are marketing FSCJ to these students, what would you say is one of the more compelling attributes you put out there to encourage students to consider this university or this college over other colleges?
Yes, well, first of all, the choices of programs. I mean, the college has everything from adult education with post-secondary adult vocational education to dual enrollment to our associate degrees for on the pathway, the transfer pathway to the Associate of Science degree, which used to be workforce but still does transfer to our bachelor's degree. So you look at what the college has to offer, first of all, in terms of programs, and then when you think about how accessible it is, because there are 5 campuses and 2 centers. So no matter where you are, you cannot be that many minutes away from one of our campuses. And then, of course, affordability. This is a very affordable college, and for those who are experiencing some kind of economic challenge, or even if you're not, it's a good choice for because you're going to get good value for the dollars that you're investing in your education.
Of course.
And the hope is that that most, if not, we know that not all of our students, but most of the students will leave here debt free. and the college really works towards that end.
Marvelous. Where are the 5 locations, Marie?
5 locations. You have North, South, Kent campus, Downtown campus, Deerwood Center, which is also our open campus. Then we have Nassau Center, and we have the Cecil Center.
And how compelling for a prospective student is the fact that FSCJ will finally be able to offer dorm space sometime in the coming year downtown?
I think it is compelling, especially for the student who, I mean, let's just face it, we're not just, we recruit within Florida, but we also try to recruit outside of Florida. So you think about the students who want to come to us, and this is a different world for them, that's a plus. You think about international students, that's a plus. But also you think about adult students who want to, or students, we'll say students who think that they are now adults because they finished high school and want to get away from their parents, but not that far away that they can't get the support that they need. It's certainly a good thing. The residence halls will only hold, I think, somewhere around 60 students, and I think we refer to that as first phase. So we shall see, but I do think that it does complement what the college is doing.
I think that's very encouraging that they are referencing that as first phase, so that it's almost a pilot to see if it can work and enhance the environment for those students, and if so, I guess you'll look towards possibly expanding that concept.
Right. Well, it's also, I think it's FSCJ's investment in downtown as well, and so. It's a twofer, so to speak. We get what we want, but we also are able to support downtown vision.
Did you always envision yourself becoming an educator?
I would say so. Not necessarily in this kind of role or in the president's role. I started off. I don't think I ever. I tell folks I don't think I ever played nurse or doctor or any of those. I was always the teacher. There might have been nurses and doctors around me, but I was always the teacher. And so I think I've always wanted to be in education. Never wanted to be in grade school, high school, middle school. Always wanted to be in college, and so it's worked out for me. It's where my love is. It's where so I'm very pleased and fortunate that I've had the opportunity to be in higher ed.
Well, you have a very high position in academia, and for the Rotaractors and other millennials who are viewing your comments today from locally and even around the world, I'm sure they wonder what skill sets would it take to become a college president, and maybe you could talk a little bit about your path and maybe include someone along the way who was pivotal in your decision to become a leader. Maybe it was your parents, maybe it was someone outside of your family, but tell us a little bit about how Dr. Gnage became a leader and a president of a university, and where did you go to college?
Oh, okay. Well, let's start with where I went to college. I went to a historically black college in Mississippi, Alcorn State University, and then on to the University of Southwestern Louisiana in Lafayette, Louisiana, and they changed their name, so it's now kind of the University of Louisiana at Lafayette, so ooh la la. And then I also went to Florida State for my doctorate.
And your doctorate is in?
My doctorate is in English.
Wow.
With an emphasis in American literature, so more
American
literature. So which I tell folks I probably don't get a whole lot of time to practice, so I just get to read it anymore. But all is good. I started out as a faculty member at university. I went back to my alma mater and taught for a couple of years, and then on to...
Wait, what did you teach?
I taught English.
English.
More
Wonderful.
freshman composition than anything else, something that will really tire you out. And then I came to Florida, married and moved to Florida, and taught at Florida A&M University after a while. I also did a newspaper for senior citizens for about 4 years, and for the state of Florida, called the Senior Consumer. And I was really proud of that because of 50,000 circulation. But I moved from being faculty member into a role of department chair, into a role as dean, into the role as vice president, into the role as I went from to assistant vice chancellor to senior vice president to president. So I followed what is considered the kind of a traditional academic path to the presidency. The challenge was I didn't know whether or not I really wanted to be president, so I kept backing up and or staying in place, and stayed in the vice presidency role. But what I say to young people is that what you have to do is have the will to do. And certainly, the traditional pathway is to actually go faculty to department chair to dean and up the road, that pathway from vice president to president. But there have been those who've come from industry, and because they've been leaders in industry and have actually gone on to lead universities, colleges and universities, and it is because of that expertise, the business expertise, the leadership expertise, the entrepreneurship, that folks are choosing them. And so what I find is that colleges at any point in time will choose the president as the best for what the work that they want to do. So if they really want to focus on workforce development, they're going to be looking for someone who truly understands workforce development, who understands how business responds to workforce development. So you will find that there are folks who've come out of city government, out of county government, out of state government, and actually moved into presidencies. So what it takes is the will. What it takes is leadership experience. What it takes is education, because you do have to have the credentials in order to be able to move forward. So I'd say just if being president of a college or a university is where you'd like to be, first start is education, then let's say leadership experience, and I'd say a good bit of boots on the ground so that you actually learn how to interact with people. Those people skills are so very, very important. I think the one thing that I'd say I loved least about being president was the whole legislative connection, because you never knew which way the wind was going to blow, but it was a good experience because not only did you learn how to interact with, let's say, congressional folks, but you also learned what you learned in interaction with them, you were able to put into place as you interacted with all your constituent groups on a college campus, particularly if the campus is very large with, let's say, it's very diverse in terms of the campuses and the people that are served by each one of those campuses. So,
how large is the student body of FSCJ?
50,000 annually, yes.
My goodness.
Yes.
Now, you were talking about boots on the ground, and I want to segue a little bit over to the giving back concept. You're obviously a very vital member of the Rotary Club of Jacksonville, and very beloved there. And why Rotary, Marie?
I was introduced to Rotary, let's say, during my first stint in Florida, and the gentleman who introduced me to Rotary talked about, because I was involved in so many community activities, community organizations, he thought that Rotary would be a good organization because I was already giving back. I was already connecting with the community. But I really liked the idea of networking with people who were of like mind. Even if they were from different walks of life, it gave me the opportunity to learn different ways of looking at at the same issue, at the same picture. And so and that's continued on. So when I had the opportunity in West Virginia to, let's say, rejoin Rotary, I jumped at the opportunity. Very, very active in that organization. And so, but it was still the same, networking and having the opportunity to participate in giving back to the community, whether it was by writing a check or whether or not it was actually walking out there and doing something with the community. And I especially liked the part certainly when I was in West Virginia, of being able to talk with students about careers, because I had that knowledge base. I could use my knowledge base to when I was giving back within the community. So that's what Rotary is to me. I mean, it's the networking, getting to know people, interacting with people, and giving back to our community.
Wonderful. Tell us a little bit about where you grew up and how you grew up and maybe some of the challenges you faced growing up.
I probably should have mentioned that when I was talking about in moving through my pathway to the presidency. My mother used to tell us all the time that the reason why we left home to get education, went off to college and everything else, was because we didn't want to pick cucumbers. So I grew up on a farm where my father may have decided not to grow cotton because his girls couldn't pick cotton, but pick enough to actually make any money, we'll put it that way. But he decided that cucumbers was it, and he planted plenty of those. So I grew up on a farm, a very small farm, and we did lots.
Where was the farm?
In Mississippi, Collins, Mississippi.
Wow.
And we had truck crops, and I always tell people we were probably land rich and everything else poor. But very good existence. My parents were very supportive of education, period. You could not stay home a day unless you were so ill you couldn't walk. You couldn't walk to the bus stop to get on the bus to go to school. So they were very, very focused on education. They all both started out, as did my grandmother and my father's mother, as teachers. But they were teachers at a time when you only needed a 12th grade education in order to do so. My mother got some college, but my father did not. And but they taught school for, let's say, years in the first probably 10 years of their marriage, and then after that they decided they needed to get on a farm, raise their children, have jobs. But it never took them away from education, because my mother believed in educating us before we ever left home. I was telling a colleague the other day, I said, whose parent makes them memorize Thanatopsis, the poem? If you ever get a chance to look at the poem, but it's because she wanted us to really be steeped in literature, and whether it was the Bible or whether or not it was, I want to say, the Reader's Digest novels that came out. But she wanted us to be readers, so she taught us to read. I think we were probably 4 years old when we started, 5 years old when she considered us fairly proficient in our reading.
Isn't that remarkable?
It is, and my mother continued that through, I think, a large number of the grandchildren, teaching them to read, but the importance of. And what is very interesting is later on in life, this same woman goes back to, after raising her children, we call it being farm manager and everything else, she goes back to be a reading specialist at one of the local schools, just to helping kids learn how to read. And that's my background. I mean, we were always encouraged to go to college. We were always encouraged to continue learning and to be, let's say, self-sufficient, to be very engaged in the work that we were doing, and that there wasn't anything we could not do. I think she also taught, I'll say parents as a whole, my father and my mother taught us a love of people and the importance of appreciating and diversity, and just regardless of, remember that I grew up in Mississippi in the days of segregation, and so I tell people that in my high school, I don't think I ever had a book that did not have somebody else's name in it from another school, and so, but we have folks who are very focused on our education. So the teachers who were our teachers were very encouraging, and knew that they had to help us go the extra mile in order so that we would be ready for the world that we were living in. So
remarkable.
So that's kind of the growing up background, raising, just doing the farm duty.
So you are a trailblazer as a chip off the block of parents who are trailblazers before you, and you are a reflection of their values and their love and determination to give you a better life.
Absolutely, absolutely, and we have to pass it. Let's say pass it forward, move it forward, make sure that that other family members, other folks we encountered, because the support that my parents had for us, they also had for other folks as well. We were active in the church, so more than likely you would find either one of the both of them, teaching young people in the church setting. So yes, I think the love of learning, the love of people, the being industrious, the being, to some extent we'll say entrepreneurial even, in order to, to have the life that we wanted.
And if you could tell us a little bit about your personal life, your family, some of your passions outside of FSCJ and Rotary.
Well, so I have a passion for reading, as one would suspect, since I had the American Lit background. But the other is the passion for, I used to truly enjoy singing. I don't get to do it very much anymore, but I enjoyed singing. In fact, I sang with a little group in West Virginia called the Professors. We would perform for different activities.
The cat is out of the bag, Marie.
So that was something that I like to do. I like to travel. So my family, my husband, and we have together we have 4 children.
Nice.
And I have a Grammy Award-winning daughter.
No kidding.
Yes, I do. And also.
Who is she?
Well, let's say she's who she is.
Okay.
So
congratulations.
Yeah. So that was probably last year. I think last year she won 2 Grammys. But but all the children are doing well. My husband and I are now, we'll say, the proud parents of a 9-year-old. So we are raising a 9-year-old in our years.
Oh, how nice!
Late years, but it's keeping us very young and very excited about life. But traveling is definitely a passion for both my husband and I, and so we've been able to, each year take in a different setting. So.
Well, in closing, I want to thank you for sharing these candid moments of your life, and ask you, even for the millennials who are watching, if there's any last advice you'd like to share as we say goodbye.
I'll say work smart.
Very succinct and very profoundly true. Dr. Gnage, you are a cherished member of the Rotary community and the Jacksonville community, and I thank you for your time this morning, and I wish you all the best as you continue on your beautiful road.
Thank you.